We are live with the two women who are doing the most they can right now to wake the world up to the plight of our oceans and the sensitive, innocent creatures in them called fish. Fish are by far the most abused animals on the planet. They are struggling right now. There's a new film called The Dark Hobby. You're going to learn all about it. You're also going to learn all about Respect for Fish Day. 250 groups have united to have a Respect for Fish Day, which is August 1st. So, Lisa Levinson, in Defense of Animals, is leading Respect for Fish Day. This is the first ever. Tell us all about it.
Oh, well, actually, it's the second ever. And this is our second annual Respect for Fish Day. We launched this initiative last year. And this year, we're very excited to feature the Dark Hobby, which we'll hear a little bit more about shortly. This is a super exciting event because we're using this film is going to be our special entree into understanding what's happening with the aquarium trade and how it's actually ruining the coral reefs worldwide and will eventually affect us and our well-being as well. So Respect for Fish Day is an opportunity to focus on fish and to learn all about the atrocities that are going on that affect fish every single day. And we're highlighting these issues through this allied it's really a huge worldwide initiative that goes on with 250 organizations have signed on to be allies for Respect for Fish Day. And this specific day, we have 3 special events that I can share more about if you like.
Oh, absolutely. And here you see covered by Veg News, 250 groups unite to launch Respect for Fish Day. And I think one of the big problems is that people don't empathize with fish because fish, unlike cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and goats, can't scream out loud. That doesn't mean that they don't feel pain. We are going to talk to Paula Force in just a moment. She's produced an extraordinary film. Let's take a look at some clips from that film, The Dark Hobby, which is available streaming now on Vimeo, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, and Apple TV. You can go to thedarkhobby.com to learn more about it.
Jonathan, welcome to Take Two.
Thanks for having me, eh?
All right, so what are some of the common misconceptions we have about fish?
That they're primitive, they're in fact highly evolved. They've been around for 450 million years, which is about 450 times as long as we've been around. It's often thought that animals are just instinctual. I think the best response to that, to show that they're not, is the flexibility of animal behavior. The fact that they will behave differently in different settings, the fact that they may have, maybe in a certain state, they may be hungry or in pain, and it will change the way they'll behave in an otherwise the same situation. The problem with thinking that it's all instinct is it's sort of a way to diminish the animal as just a stimulus response machine. Given that fishes have not just minds but also emotions, we know they have experiences. They can experience pain, they can experience pleasure, they have wants, needs, desires, they have feelings, they're individuals. This is something that scientists had not really been giving much thought to because we've had such a dim view of these creatures. One of the challenges of any aspect of studying the inner life, the conscious world of another species is they're not just going to tell you how they're feeling. So we kind of have to be creative and observant and surmise.
Wow, extraordinary. Paula Force, you have a huge background in television and film production. You're connected with Univision, and also you've produced many award-winning works. Why this? Why now?
You know, what happened was I returned to a snorkeling spot on the big island of Hawaii about 17 years after a prior stay there of several weeks, where we snorkeled every day in a bay right across from where we were staying. And upon this visit, there were hardly no fish at all when you went snorkeling. And previously, there were so many schools of gorgeous, beautiful species who were swimming right along with you, and huge tortoises. And I got out of the water and we went back in to return our snorkeling equipment. And we said to the people in the shop, where are all the fish? And it turned out that it was a Snorkel Bob's shop, which is, the most incredible chain of shops in Hawaii to rent your equipment. And the people working there said that's exactly what our boss, Snorkel Bob, has been saying to us. And look at this shelf of all the books he's been writing and all the photographs. He's been trying to protect reef wildlife for many, many years. And that's when we got involved.
Wow. Let's take a look at another clip and then we're going to discuss again. August 1st is Respect for Fish Day. You can go to respectforfish.org to learn more about it, and you can watch The Dark Hobby, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Apple TV. It's out there. We can turn this around if each and every one of us first acknowledges the problem.
The representatives are supposed to represent the interests of the people, not the other way around. When they take from us, they're taking from our children's future. I'm calling on the Hawaiian people to get behind this also.
My bill for prohibiting reef fish aquarium collecting, it's going to be a fight. The aquarium trade hired big gun lobbying firms.
Our reefs are our public trust. The fish in the ocean are our public trust.
It's time for this to stop, and I think we have a very good chance. We speak for the fish, and believe me, the fish are talking.
Extraordinary. I mean, it's gut-wrenching, and it creates so many mixed emotions because the animals themselves are so pretty to look at, and then you realize we're killing them so that we can put them in prisons called aquariums, and somebody can make money off it. Always follow the money. Lisa Levinson, tell us about Respect for Fish Day, what it hopes to accomplish. What can people do if they want to get involved with Respect for Fish Day?
Well, to get involved, you can go to respectforfishday.org, and we have a whole bunch of really important tips that you can do to actually help fish in your area. We have a fact sheet that you can download with all kinds of information about the aquarium fish trade, and we also have social media graphics that you can share to spread the word about Respect for Fish Day, and that will also lead people back to some petitions that we have to take action to stop some of the terrible assaults against fish worldwide.
Yes, and when our oceans die, we die. This is obviously about fish, Paula, but it's also about saving ourselves when the climate impacts are so horrific. Can you explain a little bit, Paula, about why the oceans are important for our climate, that they are absorbers of carbon, that we need to keep them healthy, that the reefs are crucial? Because a lot of people, they're starting to learn, for example, about animal agriculture's impact on the climate in terms of the 80 billion cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, and goats that we raise and kill every year on the land, all the food they eat, all the land they use up. They're starting to make that connection, the methane they produce. But I think most people are very uninformed about the impact of our oceans and the connection between climate and our oceans, Paula. Paula?
Yeah, we also didn't realize the connections between the fish and the reefs. When we were making the film and doing research, we interviewed Dr. Gail Grabowski, a marine biologist, and she
Oh, you've frozen up a little bit. So I'll tell you what we do. We are going to play another clip because this is such a fascinating movie, and then we'll discuss on the other side.
Humans don't pay that much attention to what happens underwater. Fish don't scream out loud the way that mammals do.
we have a very dynamic core group, reef community people here in Hawaii who are dedicated from the heart because they hate what they see happening. And they want this to stop. The thing the turtles have going for them is everybody loves the turtles. People relate to turtles. I relate to fish. Sometimes I can't understand why more people don't relate to fish the way I do. I think they're so cute. In Hawaii, turtles are still legally, federally protected. Every species of coral in Hawaii is protected by state regulation. It is kapu. You cannot take one piece of substrate from the ocean floor. For the reef species, zero protection. Zero.
There was just a story about people trying to sell green sand from Hawaii on eBay, and it had to be removed. You cannot sell sand. You cannot sell rocks, live rock from the water. You can't sell coral. So there's basically only one type of organism that can come off this reef for sale with no limits, and that's the small, juvenile, beautiful aquarium fish.
Wow. You know, this brought me back to an experience I had in Hawaii where I was on the beach and there was a sign that said, "Do not touch the turtles." And people started coming up and touching the turtles and photographing them. And I stood there and said, "Can you see the sign? It says, 'Do not touch the turtles.'" And this woman turned to me and she said, "I will touch the turtles." And I thought, disrespect for nature, what can we do? How is nature sending us a warning, Paula?
Well, I think that when you go into a fish store or pet store, we have to realize where these animals came from, how they got there. For instance, with the fish, when they're taken off the reef, they are pierced, they have their swim bladder pierced with a needle, which is very traumatic for them, and their fins are clipped off so that they won't pierce the plastic bag they're going to be transported in, and they're shipped to the mainland with as little water as possible so that they can most cheaply, have the cheapest transportation to get there. And then only 90% of them, or I should say 90% of them die. Within a year of capture, only 10% of them remain alive. So that can show you that nature cannot stand up to what can happen with destructive methods of capturing animals.
It's funny because I accidentally showed a photograph there for a second of some chimpanzees from a story we did before. And all animals are abused on this planet by this arrogant species called humans. These are chimps who are seeking a new home as their sanctuary has closed. But in all of the species, there is, I believe, and you make this point in the documentary, and I'll ask Lisa about this, there is no more abused, forgotten, and overlooked animal than the fish. And it is, as you heard in the film, because to a certain degree they're below ground, you can't hear them scream. And there's this sort of sense that, well, if you can't hear them cry out in pain, they're not experiencing pain. But nothing could be further from the truth, Lisa Levinson.
Yeah, actually, some fish do scream out in pain. I experienced this years ago. It's one of the reasons that I went vegan, was hearing a fish that was caught in an area down in Maryland where I was at the time, and I saw the fishermen pull the fish out of the water and have a little battle with the fish and actually punch the fish, and the fish screamed, and the person was literally ripping out, ripping part of the fish's face off. And I remember this, and that was definitely the impetus for not consuming any fish any longer. So I think many of us do have some experiences. Some of them are lovely. I've had experiences with fish where they come up to visit, and they're actually playing a little game with me, maybe coming up and then swimming away and coming back, and I've experienced them as very curious. So I think our one-on-one experiences with fish are very, very powerful, and they really inspire us to to take action to help fish everywhere. And that's what this whole day is about, respect for fish. It's trying to bring into our awareness and consciousness what's going on with fish worldwide. And certainly there are trillions of fish that are just scooped up from the ocean floor through trawling. There are just so many ways. Even in our own communities, you might find that they're draining different ponds for certain reasons, and they just let the fish basically die there. This is happening right now in the Bay Area in San Francisco. They have drained out one pond, and the fish are literally just there, dying. So in many levels, in the oceans, on the reefs, in our ponds, the fish are abused. And what we're trying to do is bring awareness to this so we can take action both locally and globally. And we have 3 special events that we're hosting to do this, and one of them is a protest at Woodbridge Sequest Aquarium, which is happening in New Jersey. And that protest is to stop the aquarium, to close it, to end it. And some of the aquarium animals are subjects of this aquarium trade and other types of hauling animals from the sea.
And what's so upsetting is that so many people are not educated, and they think, oh, we're going to take our children to the aquarium to see wild animals and educate them, where really it sends the absolute wrong message that humans have dominion over species, and we can rip them from the wild and put them in prisons and not see how they behave in the wild, because they're not in the wild. They're in the equivalent of a bathtub. We've had several classic movies, Blackfish, that was a game changer. Also, The Cove, about the horrors of how all these dolphins are killed in order to get one pretty one. And the same applies to fish. You heard there's a 90% death toll. And yet, despite all this, there are still efforts to try to open more aquariums, bigger aquariums. And of course, the message is do not visit aquariums, do not take your children to aquariums, because it's teaching them the very wrong thing. And one of the things is technology today will allow kids to put on a virtual reality headset and literally swim with the dolphins and swim with the exotic fish and go where they would never have that kind of experience in an aquarium, which is basically just staring through glass at some animals that are trapped inside. Paula, do you feel that the artificial intelligence and the virtual reality that is coming up now will hopefully make aquariums a thing of the past, the way Ringling's Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, who had wild animals jumping through hoops, is now a thing of the past?
Absolutely. It's remarkable how reef cams can put you right into the middle of the action now underwater with so many species. And they're all over the world. They've got reef cams in Florida. You can be anywhere. You can see what's going on in Palau, the Philippines, Indonesia, lots of these areas around the world, which is much better than the way that the aquarium fish are captured in some places around the world, with the use of cyanide and dynamite, which also ruins the coral and ruins the reef and kills entire areas of the ecosystem. So reef cams are a wonderful way for children and for adults. But in the future, I think children will have a much different attitude, as they grow up with this technology that's so helpful.
Well, this is absolutely extraordinary. I urge everyone to watch The Dark Hobby. It is available, and watch it with friends. It is available on every single platform, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Vimeo. And you can also go to respectforfish.org and access the fantastic, basically, holiday, day of campaign, day of respect for fish, and take part in all the many activities that are happening. I absolutely feel this is one of the most overlooked issues when we deal with climate and when we deal with animals. so many people even think of themselves as vegetarian-ish, and then they eat fish, and fish are not vegetables. And when the oceans die, we die. So I am very excited over the development of faux fish, which is so fish-like. I was never a huge fish fan to begin with. Before I went vegan, about 24, 25 years ago. I wish I had my exact date, but I was never a huge fish fan. And some of the the faux fish that is produced from plants using items from the seafood like kelp to bring that fishy taste, tastes so much like fish today that it's hard for me to eat them because it feels and tastes just like fish. Lisa, why don't we wrap it up there? It's not like people, because we didn't even get into eating fish. We got mostly into the aquariums and the destruction of the reefs and the capture, the abduction is what I would call it, of these wild animals who are exotic fish. But obviously commercial fishing is destroying the oceans. And also there is an alternative that tastes so much like actual fish, which without the cholesterol, without the chemicals, without the pesticides, without all the things like the mercury that are going into fish because of our tainting of the oceans, that there's a very easy solution for people out there.
Yes, there is. And actually, some of these faux fish products are being exhibited for Respect for Fish Day. So some of the organizations, what they do is they go and they'll table and actually give out free samples of this faux fish. One group is doing that in Florida. And so that's a great way to promote kindness for fish, is to actually give out and have giveaways for some of this tasty alternatives.
Well, I want to thank both of you. Incredible, incredible work. You've got to watch The Dark Hobby and watch it with friends and share it with friends. We are barreling toward an environmental, ecological apocalypse right now. You see it with the floods, not in Europe, in India, in China, the wildfires that are devastating the American Northwest and Southwest, the drought that is devastating California. It's happening now. The oceans are crucial. Let's together, we can turn this around. And of course, don't visit aquariums. Don't support them. Thank you so very much.
Jane, we do have a couple really important things we'd like to mention.
Yes, go ahead.
One of them is that we're running a very special promotion for Respect for Fish Day. So if you want to watch this film and you're going to do so on Vimeo, then you can go to the platform and purchase the film, and you can get a discount by putting Respect for Fish, spelled out respect, and then FOR, Fish Day. Put that into the field, and you'll be able to get a discount off of your purchase for watching The Dark Hobby. So that's very exciting, and that's pretty exclusive for anybody who's tuning in right now. We're just going to share this on our live programs, and we're also doing 2 live streams for Respect for Fish Day on August 1st. And so those are really key. We want to let you know about them. They are being co-produced by In Defense of Animals and by The Dark Hobby. So one of the panels will be very exciting. It's a panel all about how film documentaries inspire ocean conservation. So we're going to have speakers, including Leilani Munter, who was featured in Racing Extinction. We also will have one of the producers and an environmental journalist from the wonderful feature film. It's called My Octopus Teacher.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So we're very excited. Other award-winning films such as Entangled will have the producers and directors of these that will be featured in a panel discussion all about films. And Paula may be able to say a couple extra words about that. And then in addition, we're having a special panel following that one at 5 p.m. on Pacific time on August 1st. And this panel will feature different organizations and groups that are taking action for fish, giving you certain tools such as being able to sign petitions or go out and advocate for fish, for example, in front of aquarium stores. So we have the director of Fish Feel, Mary Finelli, is joining us. We have a representative from PETA, also from In Defense of Animals. So we've got all kinds of people, including people in the film who are featured activists in the film, will be part of that Take Action for Fish panel. So we hope that you'll join us.
Yeah, and you can access all of that and get all that information just by going to respectforfish.org.
Yes, you can find out all about
respectforfish.org. Check it out. Be involved. Boy, these are some extraordinary films. And you're right, Lisa, there have been so many extraordinary films made. I remember when Blackfish came out, that was a game changer. Then you have, of course, The Cove, which was highlighted at an Academy Award. We all saw that. Tell me the name of the octopus movie again.
My Octopus Teacher?
My Octopus Teacher, which won an award, an Academy Award. And then there's Seaspiracy, which recently came out. And now The Dark Hobby. So there's been a lot of films, and I didn't even mention them all. And you can get an overview. And that's really one of the best ways to wake people up. So I'm just so impressed and overwhelmed by all that you are doing. And I just hope every single person on this planet watches The Dark Hobby. And I really hope that municipalities wake up to how dangerous and horrible aquariums are and stop approving them. And, they're trying to build them all over the place. Okay. They haven't stopped. And we must rise up and try to stop them. Thank you so very much, Paula Force, Lisa Levinson, for your extraordinary work. And let's all be there Sunday, August 1st, National and Global Respect for Fish Day. Bye.